speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Who you with, Kirk? I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak. Welcome to speak. I'm 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 who you with, Kirk, dog?
Yo, what's going on? Happy Sunday to everyone. Want to welcome y'all to the show. Welcome to Speak on it with who you with, Kurt Dog. I'm who you with, Kurt Dog. Today we have a special guest. We have a special time today. Because of, I guess, have to work around her schedule. I really appreciate it. I get excited every time Miss Kincaid come on to the show. You know she's gonna bring some good information dealing with mental illness today. You can chat live with us in the chat room. We may talk about subject that you may want to talk about, or it may be something completely different dealing with mental illness. You can always put in the chat room. We can chat live. I will put her information up on the stream, and you could get some counseling. So we're going to talk about that. Welcome to the show, Miss Kincaid. How you doing?
Hey, Curtis, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule
No
and
problem. My pleasure.
coming to hang out with me.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. Man, it's been a while since we talked.
It's been a minute. I like your new introduction.
Hey, I appreciate it.
We moving on up.
Trying to shout out to Sean Martin for hooking that theme song up for me.
Good.
I definitely appreciate it.
I love it.
I know last time you was on the show, we talked about malicious parent syndrome, and I still get a lot of comments about that show, which is very interesting.
What kind of comments are you getting?
Some people basically telling me, hey, I'm glad y'all did a show like that. I know somebody who's dealing with malicious parent, and I never knew the terms of it, never knew exactly what it was. But when I heard the show, it was just like, wow, that's what my friend is going through, or that's what my family member going through. And I'm like, hey, try to offer help, get them some help, because it's a serious sickness, even though it's not classified as a mental illness, but people will try to take advantage and use the kids to hurt the other person. So definitely try to encourage the person to get some help. And because in the long run, the child is going to be the one to suffer when it's all said and done. As a matter of fact, my wife and I, before we came on, we was watching Ayana, and she had pretty much kind of a same situation where this guy ended up being 24 before he found out the person that he thought was his father was not his father.
Okay.
And that caused a lot of problems in the family. And that's what happened with malicious parent, because sometimes the kids don't know the truth.
Right.
A malicious parent may lie to that kid. Then when they find out the truth, it caused problem. And I think he said it was about 6 years of really not talking to his mom, and that was pretty crazy. I was like, well, a lot of people do it all the time, and the kids are the ones that suffer in the
Hmm.
long run.
Yeah. And a
Because
lot of times they tell their they tell their children something negative about the parent, and then years later they find out that it wasn't true. The things that they were saying, that the other parent wasn't trying to see them, they didn't want to see them, and or they didn't pay child support, or just whatever, they got another family, but a lot of times it's not really true.
exactly, and in this particular situation, um, both the mother and the father was underage. I think the mother was 17, the father was 15, and
Hmm.
her parents did not want her to have a relationship with him.
Hmm.
So, from what I understand, the father never knew she was pregnant.
Okay.
And at that point, it still caused problem for the child. And actually, um, I can't remember his name, but he's on a radio station here in Dallas.
Hmm.
So um, so hopefully they get everything solved and get everything to work together.
Yeah,
Seem like
that's a serious blow to a family,
yes,
and that's why it's just so important just to be up straight up, up front, even though it may be damaging and emotional. Just be straight from the very beginning, and then you can deal with it, and then at least you're not looking like a liar or deceiver. You're being honest about what's going on, when and then your child all of a sudden finds out that you've been lying all that time. That's a blow.
yes, it's a blow, and
Hmm.
it can mess up some relationships because with that secret, him and his sister was real close, and they stopped communicating.
Oh wow.
And I think by the time they came together, his son was 5 months old. And when he seen him, he was like, "Here's your nephew," and she grabbed him and just started crying. So, but
You
they
know what? I
relationship with
saw
things.
that. Well, now that you're saying, now that you keep on, that you bringing it on, I saw that
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I did see that, Ayana, Van Zandt. I did. Yeah. Now that you're saying that, I do remember that, and it was hard.
yeah,
And yeah, yeah. And you saw the pain of the discovery for him, how
yeah.
painful it was, what a painful experience that it was. Yeah.
And then which another thing that is crazy. I spoke with someone last week, similar situation, but unfortunately, and there's another problem people run into. Unfortunately, this particular person, um, I guess the father was trying to reach out to them, and when they were supposed to meet, she didn't. The mother didn't tell the child, and when the mother agreed to allow the father to meet the child, unfortunately, he died that same day.
Who did the
The
father?
father, yes, he died in a freak accident,
Oh
but
my gosh.
it was still 11 years after before the child found out the man that they thought was their father. Come to find out they wasn't. So
That
that's
lie will always surface.
yes,
It will always, because even later on, if you have something, what if you have something medical and you need a certain type of blood or a certain type of, you need a transplant, you need an organ, and I mean, how devastating. You would find out it's going to come out some way, some form. I think the numbers would be very, very low, in the low percentile for those who don't eventually find out.
yes,
I've
because
known people in their 40s, and really and truly their 40s, when they found out that the father that they thought that was their father wasn't their father. Being in their 40s, late 40s, and found out.
now I know we're talking about malicious parent syndrome, but we're gonna hit on some other subjects also dealing with mental illness.
Hmm.
Um, if it's a question or something you have for Miss Kincaid, you can put it in the chat. We can uh, have her to answer your question live on the show, during the show, or you can actually, if you need to and don't want everybody to know you put a message in, you can send me a email and I can read it on the show. And better yet, you can send me a text or you can call in. And where if you don't want to say your name, you're more than welcome to do it. And we'll just say it on the show. Won't tell who you are, but definitely, mental illness is definitely a
Yeah.
serious event that we all need to be concerned about, especially with what's going on in the world. Even though sports are back on, schools back open, we're still in a pandemic,
Yes.
and we still have to be concerned about that also. So, and a lot of people are still out of work, um,
Hmm.
where they're not able to go to work. I even heard some talk with some people that said because they working at home, they had to take a pay cut.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, but you still doing the same work. So that's another concern that people are having. Um,
And some people are having, problems working from home. Just that environment, they're not able to socialize. Some people's home environment is not conducive to an office because they have other people there that they can't control. So there's a lot of different scenarios with that. People want to go back to work. They want to be able to socialize. They want to be able to interact with other people. They feel like just being in that room, and people that work for call centers, they're in that room, 8 9 hours a day, and it does become depressing. It does.
it could definitely be a depression set in for the simple fact that
Oh,
if you used to being out on the go all the time and now you stuck at home, um, that could be
hmm.
life changing.
Yeah.
Um, so
And a
uh,
lot of people think, oh, you working from home is great, but it's not for everybody. It's not. When I worked in corporate America, I was home 8 9 years, but it was great because I didn't have to sit at a desk per se. Just sit there all day. I was able to move around, run errands, just do all kind of stuff, and then get my work done. But I had flexibility. But a lot of jobs, they're monitoring you when you're on the phone, or that you're at your computer. They're monitoring all of that, so it makes it harder for you to even really move around. And I tell clients, make sure you take those 15-minute breaks. Make sure you're taking, whether you get an hour or a half an hour. You got to make sure that you're getting up from that environment, even going outside, taking a walk, or you're doing something to kind of break up that monotony.
exactly. Welcome to the show, T. Cal. Said glad to see y'all here on the show. She's a faithful listener.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you for tuning in. And I also put the number up in the chat where you can text your question to me and I can ask them live on the show. So definitely take advantage of that. This is an opportunity to be able to get some help free, um, while we're on the show.
So yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And not only that, we're going to talk about it later on, but a lot of people don't realize you could get free counseling through your job.
Hmm.
Uh, Go to your HR and ask about the EAP program,
Hmm.
and they will provide free counseling for you. So,
Excellent resource. Excellent. And a lot of people now are really taking advantage of it. I'm seeing a great increase on people using their EAP because you have it. every year, and a lot of them don't ever use it, or some people use one, and it's like, this is something that you don't have to come out of pocket for, and you should take advantage of it. All of us, and I'm saying us,
Exactly.
me included, would need therapy. Could use some type of therapeutic session or sessions.
Exactly. And not only for you, but it also cover your kids too, and your
And your
spouse if you
spouse.
are
And
married.
then couples, I have some people that, they may come to me individually, and then, they come together as a couple, or they bring their family, they may come as individually, and then, they have family counseling as well. Yeah.
So definitely take advantage of it. And then I guess about 2 weeks ago, the verdict came out with the grand jury in Kentucky, Breonna Taylor, and I I know it upset me. And matter of fact, my counselor, she was like, "Hey, you might need to back away from social media a little bit," but it did upset me, and a lot of people was hurt about it, which
Yeah,
which we
sure.
all are, and that can cause another mindset where it make you want to fight somebody.
Hmm.
um, so this is the opportunity here to be able to talk about those things and be able to share your feelings about them because I've been trying to get Miss Kincaid on, and we've been. She said, "Hey, I could do Sunday." I said, "Okay, fine. Anytime is good for me.
Hmm.
Whenever I can bring her on, it's a good time for
I
me."
appreciate you adjusting your time to
Hey, you
accommodate.
you helping me out because even though we're talking, but it's helping me at the same time. So
Amen.
I
Hmm.
definitely need it. A lot of people still dealing with the loss of loved ones.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a time for everybody need counseling.
Yeah, yeah. On
Um,
on Sundays now, I do a grief share program. I'm one of the facilitators for a grief share program, and people are hurting. There's so many significant losses, and that now is virtually because of COVID. Because normally it's a Christian program. Normally, we have it at our church, but because of COVID, we've been having it virtually, and it's just a really great support group, great release. Um, a lot of people are really, really hurting, and it's just not a loss of a loved one. It can be loss, as Curtis talked about, a job. You can lost a relationship. There's so many different types of loss. When we think of grief, we always think of death, but it can be other types of loss as well. And people are really pouring out, and that's therapy, to be able to talk about it, have it with like-minded people, because a lot of people are really having multiple deaths, when it comes to, or multiple things. You lost your job, somebody passed away, relationship broke up, so they're having multiple um reasons to grieve.
yes, and so I know you said it's virtual now. Is it? Can anyone attend it, or do you need to be a
Mhm.
member of your church?
Oh
Church?
no, oh no, not at all. It's we do it at 12 p.m. My church is Cornerstone Baptist Church in Arlington, Texas, and we do it at 12. We start at 12 p.m. and honestly and truly we say 1:30, but normally we go to after 2 o'clock, because people just pouring out their heart, in regards to what's going on. A lot of people that are there thought they didn't really need any type of help, but they see even sometimes over the years that they still not able to move forward, in regards to that grief. So because of that, they're seeing, and I'm seeing people that, they had deaths many years ago, but they still feel the impact of that death because they really never dealt with it. And grief is something I always tell people: you either grieve now or you grieve later. It's gonna come out in some type of way. Sometimes it's shopping, sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's irritability. I'm just upset, I'm mad all the time, I don't understand what's going on. Sometimes it comes out in the form of depression, and people don't put it back to the grief, but it really is.
Mm.
The center of it is that grief that they never that or that loss that they never grieved.
So, hey, once again, if you know somebody or if it's you,
Hmm.
uh, doing a lot of shopping, um, want to lay in bed all day,
Isolation, depression.
don't want to talk to nobody, eating too much,
Hmm.
whatever it may be, please seek help.
Yeah.
Seek help. Or matter of fact, if you watching um, some of these news articles that come out all the time, and everything is negative on there, that could cause you into
Oh,
depression also.
oh yeah.
Especially with all the hurricanes we have had this past year. Well, this year alone, that's really bad to look at
Hmm.
things like that. Sometimes you just have to change your environment. Listen to some. For me, I listen to gospel music when I
Right.
feel myself getting deep down into depression or something. I
Mhm.
listen to gospel music and roll with it like that because it'll change your mind though.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And then, finding a hobby, during pandemic, I've told people, you have to do something. You can't just sit in the house day in, day out and not really doing something other than working and, looking at TV. You have to learn how to do something. Some people have been doing puzzles. I've had people telling me they starting to crochet. People are exercising at home, which is great, or just going out for walks, or but you have to do something other than just work and just sit in your house because it is gonna eventually cause you to be depressed.
yes, and right before we came on, I was talking. Matter of fact, when you came in, I was talking to a friend on the phone, and
Hmm.
we was talking about some stuff that they just recently went through, and I was telling them, "Hey, tune in to the show because I know what you've gone through. I've gone through similar stuff like that,
Hmm.
and when you concern about your spouse, how they feeling, and here it is, you don't know if you're gonna make it or not. I know depression started to seek in,
Oh yeah.
so definitely tune into the show, and
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm always here for you if you want to talk. Hey, we like that. We can talk freely. So
Right.
I see a lot of people just came on, not sure which platform they're on, but welcome to the show. You are listening to Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog. We have Miss Kincaid, a a licensed professional counselor on the show today. We're
Mhm.
dealing with mental illness. Um, she been on the show several times before, and if you have questions dealing with mental illness, definitely put them in the chat. Um, I can put my number back on the screen where you can actually text me. You can text me your question, and we can be able to have her to answer them while we're live on the show. If you want to put them in the chat, you can. Or if you want to, don't want people to know you asking any question, you can text me and we can definitely ask her and get your answer right away. So I was telling you also before we came live, I struggle with what exactly we was gonna talk about with mental illness for the simple fact. Um, went on, came online this morning and realized another unarmed man was killed here in our backyard in Wolf City yesterday. And that right there alone is a problem.
Yeah.
Here it is. From my understanding, the young man was doing the right thing, trying to de escalate a problem that was going on. A rookie cop come up, tased him, then shot him 3 times and killed him.
Okay, that
And
we've heard that time and time again,
too many times.
too many times. I'm with you.
Mm. And that's a problem within in America, because here it is. Uh, Listening to some of the interviews, that's a close knit town. They don't come with no foolishness. Everybody know everybody.
Okay,
But apparently, this particular cop was a rookie cop, not from the town.
okay.
So he didn't know who he was dealing with. But his results were
Shoot.
shoot.
Now ask questions later.
Exactly. And he shot the wrong person because apparently um, this brother worked for the city and he was shot and killed. Well, like,
Hmm.
so that's the problem we have to deal with as a black man. I
Hmm.
think last time on the show, it was some comments about being a black man. I'm scared to leave out my house
Right, right.
because I don't know if I'm gonna come back home or not, and that's a problem.
That is. That is. And it shouldn't, we as we know, it shouldn't be like that. But um, as a reminder, tomorrow, if you're not registered to vote here in Texas, tomorrow, October the 5th is your last day that you can register to vote into the presidential election. It is vital that everybody vote. It is so vital that you get out and vote, especially local elections, statewide elections is really important because a lot of this things that are happening is because we're not getting out to vote like we can, and these people are just winning over and over and over again. Some of these senators have been in there 30, 40 years.
Too long.
Being in the same spot, and that hatred has been there that 30, they don't have, they don't have the America, everybody in America, they just for their own people, and that's it. And we keep on sitting back because we are comfortable in our, lives, or we're not comfortable, but you're still not doing anything because a lot of people aren't comfortable. We always say, oh, and that is a issue. A lot of times people get comfortable being middle class, and they don't feel like they have to do anything. But no matter what class you're in, you should exercise your right to vote because many people sacrifice for people of color to vote, and we need to get out and vote.
Exactly. And we talk about the importance of voting on every show.
Yeah,
We need to vote not just for the November election coming up, but we definitely need to make a
every
change for the
election.
local.
Yeah,
I don't care if we voting
every
on a dog
election.
park. I'm voting.
Yeah, I know
I'm a
that's right.
vote.
I'm actually going to be a poll worker for the election. Because a lot of times there's not a lot of African American or any type of minority. Well, let's change that. Or Latinos, African Americans, Latinos, because quite a few Asians do volunteer. But a friend of mine, she's going to do. I'm just doing election day, but she's retired, so she's able to do early voting for the 3 weeks because this year we're getting an extra week because of COVID, and so she's going to be able to do those 3 weeks. And so she said that her precinct judge asked her. She said, was asking, "Do you mind and tell me what party that you're in, that you vote for, because I want to make sure that that it's balanced, and that you can work, her particular her particular precinct." And my friend told her she was a Democrat, and she said, "Oh, you're not gonna have any problem."
Mm.
And what that says is that the people that are the poll workers are Republican majority of the time. She told us she wasn't going to have any problem because she was a Democrat. So we got to get out there and be, volunteer. I'm taking off a day for that election. And I've done it many times before. It's a lot of work. It's a long, long day. It's a sacrifice. But guess what? We got to start sacrificing.
Yes.
We have to start sacrificing, getting on people's campaigns, contributing something. We have to stop having that lip service and we got to start doing something.
Exactly. Welcome to the show, Marcella Smith. He said it's my favorite show. He been a favorite listener for the
Hey,
last couple
Marcella.
of weeks. Um,
Okay.
welcome to the show. Uh, I've talked about it on the show before. Growing up as a child, and some of our friends that I grew up with, they was actually my sister friend because they older, but they will remember growing up as a child. One of my uncles, before he passed, he was into politics quite a bit,
Hmm.
and every election he would put us to work to go and hand out um, flyers and stuff, put them on the doors, and he would explain to us how important it is for us to vote, let our voice be heard. Now we're talking about in the 80s and 90s, we doing this as a child, and I'm like, okay, um, and still today, it I still have to get out and vote. I don't
Oh,
care what election it is. He used to be a used to run a poll, and when he passed, my mom picked
okay.
the baton
So,
up.
precinct chair. Hmm.
Exactly. So she picked it up, and uh, due to the pandemic, she won't be able to do it this year.
Right,
But
right.
one of my niece had picked it up.
Okay, good.
So I'm like, hey, it's in my blood. We have to vote.
Right.
I don't care what election it is. We're going to vote. I don't care if
That's
it,
and that's how it should be. We should want to vote. We should want to put our 2 cents per se in about what goes on. But then we always want to talk. And I had a friend. If you didn't vote, she didn't talk to you. She would ask you if you started getting into some kind of dialogue about voting or the senators and stuff. And she go, hold on a second, did you vote? If they said no, she said, our conversation ends. She said, I'm not talking to anybody that don't vote. And one of the people was her
mm,
husband. And she was like, I'm not talking to you. If you're not voting, me and you can't have this conversation. We just
exactly,
can't. Yeah. And
and
it's true.
you have to be that way because, first of all, if a person not voting, it's not too much we could really talk about because if you start complaining about what's going on, you did nothing to try to change it.
At least I tried. you know.
So,
And then here we have early voting. There's many states which they need to change it, that they only can vote on election day. And we have the opportunity here in Texas and many other states where you're able to go out early and vote and really pick your time to go out and vote, and we still don't vote. There's been elections here. I live in Arlington, Texas. There's been elections here that have been won with 3,000 and something people. Arlington almost has 400,000 people
mm,
living here. And there are elections that are won with 3,000. And one time, a brother lost because of, I think, one or two votes. He actually lost the election because of one. It was either one or two. That's all he lost it by.
mm.
Yeah. And that's how critical it is. It could be that critical that you lose by one or two votes.
And I say all the time on the show, I know we heard in the past, vote like your life depend on it, but this time it really do. It
Yeah.
do because, and I'm gonna say that for the 8 o'clock show, but it
Well,
really do.
they saying there's a lot of African Americans voting for Trump this time. The largest number of African Americans voting Republican. So there's some kind of disconnect. There's something. Or I just don't, I don't know. But there, and a lot of them, and the majority of them are African American men
unfortunately.
that
And
are voting for Trump.
my wife called me into the room earlier because I was preparing for the show, and she wanted to show me this commercial. And the only thing I heard the guy say was, "I once voted for Obama." I just walked out.
Okay.
I heard enough. I heard enough, and I
Yeah,
said, "Okay, that
yeah.
I don't need to hear no more because I already know where he's going." And I've had a person on the show. I think it was actually September the 1st anniversary, and had them on the show, and they was one of these people that was dogging Senator Harris. And I asked her, I'm like, why are you always dogging his sister? And I'm like, that's not something not right about that. Um, Talking about she putting brothers in jail and stuff like that. And I asked the question, well, first of all, what did the brothers do to get in front of her as a prosecutor?
I was say she was a prosecutor. That's why she put people in jail.
And 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 I'm like, hey, that's the question that need to be asked because she was doing her job
Hmm. Hmm.
and she
That's
did
what the
did her
prosecutor did.
job.
Yeah,
And
and,
so
and no candidate is squeaky clean.
no,
None of them are. Joe Biden is not. Kamala Harris is not,
no,
and Trump is not.
well, we know
Pence
about
is not.
that.
Is not. But to me, the thing is that so many that those supporters, it shows to me it's a hard issue. It's learned behavior. They've empowered. Trump has empowered those people to come out their little cubby holes, and they little, he's empowered them to come out and be bold,
Yeah,
you know. Mm-mm.
and I had told someone the other day about the threat that came out on TikTok. Um, oh, I'm sorry. TKL says so many people missed that point about her. She was doing her
Yeah.
job. Uh, his supporters are going. Um, I the threat that came out on TikTok the other day from the Proud Boys. It was I made a comment to someone. Someone asked the question. They said, "Hey, why are they so angry?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, I said, "Well, the problem is that stuff that anger was taught.
Oh yeah,
They didn't come in this world
it's learned behavior.
it being hateful or racist. It was taught,
Mm-hmm.
and if any one of them took the opportunity to sit down with someone from a different race, they probably would learn something and they probably can change their mind. That's why from time to time, I actually get people to come on here in the chat. Trump 2020, say all type of stuff. But then when they listen to the show a little bit, they start changing their mind. And I have invited some of them. I will put the number up and say, hey, you could call and express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to do it
Right, right, right.
because that's what the platform was made for. Give people the opportunity to speak what's on their mind. And some of them won't take that opportunity. So TCal said to vote for him because they are, period. Yeah. Some of them just,
Oh
un-
yeah.
unfortunately, and it falls in line with mental illness because the way that um, some of us, some of us was raised, some of our ancestors was raised, that crab in the bucket mentality. You see a black person trying to do something,
Mm-hmm.
instead of supporting them, they want to pull them back down to their level,
Yeah.
and that's all started in the mind. That's something that was taught, and for me, I'm not a doctor or a counselor, but it sounds like that's the way they was taught, and mentality to think
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah. And it's learned behavior, generation after generation. You hear many people say we've never um, voted Democratic because generation and generation and generation. I had a manager before. He told me that a guy came to his house, got drunk, and started crying about that he didn't want to vote for Trump, but he never voted for any. He never voted Democratic, and his family, expected him to do, to vote Republican. And I was like, who's with you when you go? To the booth, to the voting booth. Who's with you? But he said he was literally crying at this party after he got, some juice in him, and was just just sad about, the fact that, he had to vote for Trump, So that's how ingrained, giving that example is just to show how ingrained it is and how loyal they are to the Republican Party, even if they see it's wrong, even though what is said disgusts them, even though they don't agree with it, they will still vote for Trump because it's traditionally who they vote for. And it's a mindset, it's really a mindset in regards to that.
And that's kind of like uh, who was it, Conway with Trump. Um, she ended up leaving his cabin for the simple fact she's going for Trump. Her husband fighting against Trump, and the daughter is in the middle of it.
Hmm.
And the daughter called both of them crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah. She was
that's
saying something yesterday about her mama catching COVID. I didn't read the article, but she was on it yesterday about her mom catching COVID.
and I'm gonna say that part for tonight because I just got the alert. Trump is out.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw it a little while ago on CNN.
yeah, and what happened to 10 days?
Well, one, he's a narcissist, and because of that, he doesn't want anybody to think that he's down. It's a critical time of the election. It's just 1 month before election time, and he wants to show everybody that he's okay. But they're saying that steroid that they gave him, they never give that unless it's something critical.
Mm. So you,
So he's in, I guess they could set up everything that they need to set up, and we didn't see the truck that's set up with all kind of equipment probably for him to have in the White House, But he can't. He's not God, so if God can sit him down.
yeah, that's what people have to realize because Trump. I've actually seen a sign where somebody put uh, by Trump is the new God or something, and I'm like,
Trump has said he's infallible. He doesn't lie. He doesn't make mistakes. He said
oh,
it himself.
you almost made me cuss.
Hmm. I mean, he said it himself.
But we know
You
that's
know.
not true.
But
Um,
that's that narcissism where you're thinking that you're all in all, you
mm,
know, that you're the person, you're not wrong, everybody, even when you're caught in a lie, he spins it around, he'll try to come back the next day, and really when they get on him about something, he'll come back the next day and try to clean it up, so those are all signs of narcissism. It is.
well, hopefully, because I really feel like Trump do listen to the show because I do follow him on Twitter and it
Hmm.
broadcasts live on Twitter also.
Okay.
Um, so Trump, if you need some counseling,
I'm here.
Miss Kincaid got you.
But you
Use
got to be honest.
exactly. Counseling do not work unless you are honest.
Yeah.
And I've said it before on past shows. I take counseling weekly. Um, and when I first started going, I went in there and I was like, I'm looking at my counselor like, what? She asking me all these questions. I'm giving her short answers. About the third visit, I opened up and I was crying. I'm like, man, I really do need counseling.
Hmm.
So,
All of us do.
exactly. So Trump, You have to be honest. And you
Hmm.
need somebody who's not going to agree with everything you say and do. Need to hear the right thing.
He would never, unless God have to change his heart. That's the only way that Trump would do something like that, because he believes that he is God, and just like all this debt and all of that, he still thinks that he's a great businessman. But the average citizen, if we had bankruptcy, we probably couldn't even do it 7 times. But if we had seven, bankruptcy 7 times, they would be calling us all kind of stuff, but they still say he's successful.
Yeah,
As he takes that taking PPE money, him and his, a lot of his businesses benefited off of that government money.
exactly. You see that box down at the end of your stream?
Uh huh.
Click it. um, so,
Hey, you done updated since I last said.
yeah, they doing updates all the time. So I'm like, all right. Every time I come on, they doing something new. So I'm like, all right. Um, I just found that out last week. I didn't
Okay.
know what it was. I'm like, what is it? But yeah, but definitely taking counseling. That's with anybody. If you're going in to take counseling from anyone, be completely honest. Be honest, no matter what it is. These are professional trained counselors. They've probably heard it 1,000 times. It's not going to surprise them. They're trained and they can give you great advice. Now, some
We're not
people,
here to judge you.
exactly,
A lot of people are ashamed of certain things that have happened in their lives. But in order, that's the devil wanting you to keep being bondage, in regards to the events that happen in your life. Freedom is being able to spill it out, especially with somebody that's, not biased. Your family members can be biased, or friends, sometimes opinionated and biased. But, a counselor, we've taken an oath, for your well being. And so for me, I, I always ask God, if I can help them, send them to me. And if I can't, let them go to someone else, a counselor, whoever they need to help. And I tell my clients, if I'm not a fit, I want you to go get help. I'll help you find somebody else. But the thing is just to get the help, just to reach out.
exactly. And Miss Kincaid, um, like I said, she been on the show quite a bit. Been on it quite a bit, and normally people would send messages once we get off the show asking her questions. I've I've either text her or forward it to her, and she would give me a response right back. So definitely, if you have any comments about how to deal with this, how to deal with that, this is a time to do it. You can text me your question, and I can ask. If you don't want people to know that you're asking questions, text it to me, and I will ask on the air. Um, also, we're actually um, going into this season with the pandemic. Of course, we're still in the middle of it. Um, I believe the UK have actually uh, started shutting stuff down again, and as we're going into the winter months, flu season, it's
Hmm.
gonna get worse
Yeah.
because now we don't know if a person have the flu, allergies, or the coronavirus. We really don't know.
I,
Um,
I think New York announced today that they were going to do some kind of shutdown. Maybe again looking at doing something again because their numbers are starting to rise again.
and and
And
people,
here it's starting to rise again too.
yes, because one day last week between Dallas and Tarrant County, I think it was over. I want to say it was like 14 to 1500 new cases.
Mm-hmm. I think yesterday in Tarrant County it was 600 new cases
Wow.
just by itself, Tarrant County. And we were going down. We were in the 300s, sometimes 200, and now it's back to 600 because people are relaxing. I'm seeing really businesses are there's a lot of people going out to eat, and businesses are not social distancing because I think now they in here in Texas they can be 75%, and
Yeah,
because of that, and people are out. They're out trying to get back. I look at traffic now. Traffic is almost like it was before. So it's telling me that people are getting out, but you got to still be cautious. We're not over. We're not over COVID-19.
exactly. I was telling my wife yesterday because uh, we had a young lady on last Monday, the community fridge, which she have a great program,
Okay.
and she just opened up her new location in DeSoto, but and we decided to donate to that location also, and trying to get out there, I was like, man, we're in a pandemic, and it's like you driving through downtown on 1382. And I'm
Hmm.
like, all these cars. Now, just imagine if we were not in a pandemic, how it would be. And I'm like, man, so it's bad. A lot of people getting relaxed.
Yep, they are.
Um,
A lot of people are getting it, and we just got to be really careful. And it's hard. It's not easy to stay in like we're having to stay in, but even if you're going to be out, just be cautious. Make sure you have the minimum is have your mask on. I wear gloves many times when I'm going into the grocery store. They're saying they're cleaning the handles and stuff anyway. I just wear gloves and because that makes me feel better. you know um but you have to be very, very careful.
exactly. And speaking of the pandemic, I'm gonna put a small PSA out. Tomorrow morning, well, tomorrow, October the 5th, from 11 to 2 p.m. Friendship West will be giving out masks tomorrow. Thanks to for motor company Rainbow Push Coalition.
Okay.
Um, they have 10,000 masks. So once they're gone, they're gone.
Wonderful.
Um, and anyone in the community um, in DFW can come by, get some masks, and keep moving. So from 11 to 2, don't I'm gonna tell you now. Don't go up there at 12, at 1:30
Two.
time out you want to get a mask, and they probably gonna be gone.
Yeah.
So definitely go out early from 11 to 2 at 2020 West Wheatland, Dallas, Texas 75232. And thank you, Pastor Haynes, for always serving the community. We
Amen.
appreciate it. We need more people like that in the
Yes,
community,
we do.
and even Cornerstone. I've,
Yay,
you talked about a lot of great stuff.
oh
Cornerstone is
yeah,
doing.
constantly, and we're starting back up the groceries in the box starting next Saturday. Just giving out families. We were going to do it this week, but the people that were supplying the meat couldn't get it out there in time, so we're going to do it next Saturday. I think it starts at 9. I'll make sure before I get up what time it starts, but yeah, we're gonna milk, eggs, the essentials that a family needs because through God's grace, as the scripture says, there go I. We never know, where we are going to be, prayerfully, we're okay, but you just don't know because a lot of these people, not long ago were able to feed their families without any problems, be able to buy school supplies, school clothes. And now this situation has changed, and a lot of people are being evicted. A lot of people are homeless. now because of those evictions. And in America, it shouldn't be like that. And not with 1% getting, only 1% of, America having so much wealth, and the rest, of people are here, hungry.
Exactly. Um, and I hit on it briefly about the community fridge. I don't know if you ever heard of that program or not,
No, I
but
haven't.
tell you about it. Jasmine Coleman, she was on the show last Monday, and it started up in New York, and she seen what they was doing, so she said, "Man, let me check and see if somebody in Dallas doing anything like this," and she decided it wasn't. So what she did was she teamed up with a couple of business. One is Pan Africa over off of Marcellus and Ann Arbor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
Signed up, teamed up with them, and she have a community fridge outside the store, and you can bring perishable and
Oh, okay.
non-perishable food for people in the community. No question asked. Nobody is trying to watch and see what you're doing. If you need something, you come by there and get it. Get
Okay.
what you need, or if you want to drop something off, drop something off. She just opened up a new location in DeSoto yesterday. I believe it's, don't quote me on the address, I believe it's 324 Beltline Road, DeSoto, Texas, Suite 500. Um, Same thing. If someone in the community need food, they can come get food. No question asked. Pick it up. Or if you want to donate, you can donate. So definitely, if you in those areas and if you able to donate, donate. It's a
Right.
great cause.
Right. Right.
You never know. It's a lot of people going
There's
to
a lot
bed
of people
hungry.
going through. It's evident by the lines that we see. When you see it's miles of lines, and all those people are. People go, oh, they just going, and we do know there are some people that get in line that don't really 100% need it, but a lot of people do. You're not going to wait in line 3 and 4 hours for a box and a bag of food if you really don't need it.
Yes.
You're not going to do it. you
No.
know, and people don't realize that they're not. But so many times we measure how things are by our own circumstances, and it's really wrong because many people are not doing as well, maybe that you are. A lot of people are needing help. They need help, and whether Trump is slashing a lot of stuff. He has
Yeah.
slashed a lot of stuff. I remember when the pandemic started, there were many people, hundreds of thousands of people that lost food stamps. That never was really announced. They're so busy. I'm not saying COVID wasn't important, but they didn't even put that those many people lost food stamps.
That's because they didn't want us to know.
Mm-mm.
And not only people losing food stamp, a lot of them, the people that lost them was living paycheck to paycheck with food
Oh, yeah.
stamps.
Majority of people live paycheck to paycheck. Very few people have a savings. And people go, oh, no, everybody can't save.
Exactly. Uh,
Everybody cannot save.
So definitely support organization that are giving back to the community. Um, if you're able to go out and donate, donate.
Hmm.
Um, you can also, if you need items,
Right.
go and get you some item. Don't be embarrassed
And don't
because
be hungry. Don't go hungry.
exactly because now that schools are opening back up, but when they was virtual, schools in my area they had signs out because they was still giving out lunches to the kids for the simple fact some kids that's the only meal they get per day.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So definitely be mindful. If you can donate, donate. If not, if you need it, go get it. Get
Hmm.
it. Um, don't be greedy because you're not the only one. But please go out and get it if you need it. Um,
And imagine what position you're in, your mindset is when you're in that type of situation, that you have to go somewhere to get food. That has a lot to, with your mindset, that does something to, your emotions. And a lot of people don't, you just think that it's just, I'm just out here just doing this. It does a lot, because especially if you're not used to receiving, you're used to being the one that gives, and now you're on the receiving end. It's devastating, and it does affect your mental health.
yeah, especially if you are a guy that is used to being able to do everything yourself.
Hmm.
Now you have to go and apply for food stamps for whatever reason because you lost your job.
Yeah.
That can really mess with you because um, some of the questions they ask you as if, hey, you're a man, you don't need these.
Go out there and work and hustle. I've heard people say that. Oh, you need to get two and three jobs, but two or three jobs are not available.
Exactly.
It's really
And
not.
that's why another reason why we need to vote because I believe coming up soon they're gonna vote on the minimum wage.
Okay.
So we need to make sure we vote because making I think it's 7.25 an hour now for minimum
That's
wage here in
not here.
Texas.
But some states have made their minimum wage $15 an hour
Yes,
voluntarily. Yeah,
and it should be for the simple fact
and
that
$15 an hour don't pay rent.
no, it's hard, especially with um, rent keep going up. Because I know people paying what $1,000 a month in a
Oh
one
yeah,
bedroom.
one bedroom. Yes.
So
Yeah.
just imagine if you have a child or a couple of kids. That's
Hmm.
hard.
That is. It is. It's
That's
hard.
hard.
And
So
imagine if you got a medical condition in addition to that. You know,
exactly,
a lot of people have medical problems where they can't work. And so and with that, what can you really do? A lot of people who have, you know, cancer. They can't do what they normally do. It can be a single parent. So how does that devastate? If they don't have family, if you have family, you assume everybody else has family. Everybody doesn't have family, or somebody that they can count on and depend on. And we have to, like I said, I think a lot of people just don't volunteer. If you get out there, you'll see, you know, there things are not just what you think. You'll see that there's a lot of devastating right in not far from where your zip code is.
exactly. Um, I know when I went through my situation probably uh, 17, 18 years ago. Um, what got me through was when I came to Friendship West, got
Okay.
involved in ministry and on a mission ministry, which is dealing with the VIPs, which is the homeless ministry.
Hmm.
And regardless of what I was going through, I seen where people was worse off than me, and that helped me a lot.
I
And
know
I'm
that.
like, hey, I'm here to serve and had to do what I had to do. Which it really changed my life and my outlook at things because here it is. I'm going out ministering to people that is don't have a roof over their head. I did, but I
Right.
was going through some things.
Right. 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 Right.
So it makes a difference.
It does.
Um,
It does. It does. It really and people don't realize the impact. But one thing what you just said, that I went out there and helped somebody else, that is wonderful for depression. When you're helping somebody else, it always boosts up your energy. It boosts up your the seraphim, the dope. dopamine in your the hormones in your body, those things are activated when you're helping somebody else. And most of the time the benefit is more, what you're giving them, you benefit a whole lot more.
Yes. And matter of fact, I talked with a young lady this week. Um, we're trying to arrange to have her on the show. And she's doing the same thing. She's doing it by herself,
Okay.
going out serving the homeless community, taking toiletries out here to
Hmm.
them, and she's actually paying for it out of own pocket. So we're trying to arrange, get our schedules right for she could be on the show, for people can also help her.
Right, right.
Um,
And Curtis, I'm giving a shout out to my son. He does that often, and sometimes he takes my grandkids out with them. Sometimes he just fills up, ice chesting, whatever, just with water and just drive around, to the areas where the homeless are. He gives out, and then when it's cold, he'll drive around, just collect blankets. Um, you know, Thanksgiving, he gets a lot of turkeys, donate them to Mission Arlington. He just always has wanted to give back to the community, and really, honestly and truly, he's seen. I've always given back to the community. I've always been involved in some capacity, and when he does it, I just it makes my heart proud because he's doing something and now showing my grandkids that how fortunate they are.
mm, that's
Yeah.
a wonderful thing.
Hmm.
Um, so if- we might need to have him to team up with the young lady, and they
Hmm.
try to work this together
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we
Because he
talk.
does the exact same thing. Like I said, he just loads up his car and just go.
And
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of brothers, even when I went through my stuff, um, dealing with the issues I dealt with my daughter and everything. A couple of brothers that was around me, Lonnie Russell, Ricky Johnson, Orion Thomas, um, and we all was kind of going through something at the same time. But how we got through that was going out serving.
Hmm.
We serve. Holidays come around. I remember one 4th of July. Um, we was like, you know what? We ain't got much, but let's go to the store and buy some hot dogs,
Hmm.
buy some buns and weenies. We did that. Took them downtown, hand them out to people, and people appreciate that. And I was like, man, uh, made me feel good, even though I didn't have much, but
Right.
I was doing that. People really appreciate it.
Right. 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 Right.
So I really appreciate anybody who's serving with a pure heart,
Right.
not about getting recognized.
Right.
And if people know me, I don't care if people recognize me or not. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it from my heart, and
Yeah.
that's all to it. But I definitely, um, I have a passion for stuff like that.
Me
So
too. Me
if
too.
I'm able to help, I will help. If I can't, I'm gonna see if I can find somebody who can help,
Hmm.
and that's the
Hmm.
best way of doing it. But also, uh, so with everything that's going on um, in the world, I know it's hard. It gets you upset. You wanna basically fight. um, because some days I'll be like, man, this is crazy. I'm tired of hearing about this, tired of hearing about that. But I just have to pray and be like, hey. Then when I talk with my counselor, she be like, "Oh Lord," but she understand. She
Yeah.
understand. Matter of fact, I think last time Miss Simmons was on, um, someone was saying some crazy stuff in the chat, and I told her when we got off there, I said, "I thought I was gonna have to lay you on the couch Cause I was like, seem like
I
you,
was like, Dion, oh Lord,
I was like, you seem like you got a little upset. She said, no, I wasn't, but
that's
yeah,
much.
that's crazy. But I tell people all the time, be respectful.
Yeah, but
You
some
can
people don't know how to be respectful.
exactly like
Some
when
people don't know how to be respectful.
when I do the show later tonight, I probably get a lot of people on here that will come on Trump 2020, and that's fine. That's your opinion. You vote
Right,
for whoever
right,
you want to vote for.
right. But don't
Whoever,
be disrespectful.
yeah. Um, and I don't get any more. Well, I'm gonna leave it alone. I was getting some hate message at
Oh my
one point,
gosh.
but I don't get them anymore. But occasionally, I might. I just tell them thank you for listening to the show. Tell a friend, share it, like it, click the notification for when we come on. So, but and I've had a lot of people to say they really appreciate the show for the simple fact I give people that opportunity,
Mm,
regardless of who you voting for, give them that opportunity to speak their mind. As
right,
long as you're not racist, okay, you cool. We can talk. We can have a dialogue.
right,
We
right.
may not agree with everything, but hey, you respectful.
And I'm
That,
respectful.
exactly.
It goes both ways. And effectively communicating, when you effectively communicate, you're respectful of the other person's feelings. And it doesn't mean that you agree with their feelings, but you're respectful of their stance on, whatever they're saying, and in turn, they should be respectful to, you as well.
Exactly.
And that's
Um,
where people mess up. We need to do a show on that, effectively communicating. Sure. Because
well,
most people don't, honestly and truly, they don't.
it we could definitely do one on that. I God really been working on me lately because some shows I would get upset and I would speak in unknown language. So I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I don't cuss as much,
Mhm.
but he's working on me. I'm good.
Amen.
So
And that's what we all a work in progress. But just take this nugget that when I react, that person has control of me. If I react in a negative context, if I let that person get me upset, if I let that person, you know, I give them permission. You say, oh, they made me so mad. No, you allowed them to make you that mad. You can't have that much power over me that I'm going to be mad from what you say. I can just say, okay, I don't have to even really answer you back. Just people tend to think that you have to respond back to a question. Sometimes I may need some time to think about it. I may need to say, let me get back with you on that. I don't have to always answer you just because you want to answer right then and there. But I don't want anybody to have any control of me. So I definitely try to stay in my lane and look at you. If you acting belligerent, look at you like a fool.
exactly, because I tell people all the time, hey, if people see two people arguing, they don't know who's the fool and who not.
Exactly. Your
So I
motto.
have I have to practice that. So I'm like, okay, you can say what you want to say, but
Mm-hmm.
it's my choice if I want to put it up on the screen or not.
Right. Right.
And had I guess it's been about just a couple of weeks. Somebody really tried me. Um,
They
t-
tried.
well, because they put in the chat, it was talking about Breonna Taylor
Mm.
and talking about how can you um, agree with that drug dealer or something. And then they said Dr. King will be ashamed of you. Yeah,
Say, first of all, she wasn't a drug dealer.
exactly.
How can you believe she was a drug dealer? First of all, let's clarify that. Let's get that, straight.
Yeah. So when my first reaction was kind of like you, like, did he just type this? and it was already a bad day because I think it was the same day decided they wasn't going to charge him.
Right.
So I was like,
But you see
okay,
now that they didn't even put he didn't even put them up for to be charged.
yes. And
Yeah.
matter of fact, he need to go to jail
Yeah, he
himself.
didn't. He didn't even, and that's why that, and that's really, a juror coming out and speaking and suing. When have you ever seen that? I have never seen that.
Exactly.
But they
That's
knew
why.
he was lying, so they wanted to get that straight.
Well, he never should have been in charge of it anyway, especially when it came out where they offer a plea deal to the ex-boyfriend to try to lie. They
Yep.
should have removed that from them in the first place. And um, my whole thing is this guy took his time to do it, and then the day that he announced it was the same day that Emmett Till juror was acquitted. And I'm like, wow, you gotta be kidding me.
Hmm.
The exact same day. It seemed like it was planned for that time.
Right, right. No sensitivity.
So, um, so AG Coleman, Cameron, you need to go. That's why I say Kentucky need to vote him out.
Oh yeah.
And he barely won that. If everybody would have voted, I think they said it was 1 million black people did not vote in Kentucky that year.
Hmm.
So
I
he
hope those one
barely
million
got in.
I hope those 1 million are voting in this election.
I sure hope so too, because we need everybody on deck
Yeah.
on this one.
Don't let anybody fill your slot. This time you need to fill. You need to go in on your own.
And not only that, if you mailing in your ballots,
Yeah.
make sure you have a witness, a notarized witness, and make sure it's filled out correctly.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why people saying your vote don't count, but unfortunately, if it didn't count, they wouldn't be trying so hard to keep you from voting. For the simple fact, Greg Abbott, one place to drop off mail-in ballots per county.
Yep.
You said Arlington have 400,000 residents. Now, Arlington, you also talking about Arlington, Fort Worth,
Grapevine,
Grapevine,
Hollyville,
and Colleyville, all these little small towns.
or is that
And
in Collin County? I'm not sure about Colleyville, but I know we have a lot of Tarrant County.
yes,
Burles, no, that's Johnson.
HEB,
Yeah, HEB. Yep, HEB.
White. Well, not sure about White Settlement,
Yeah,
but
but
I
it's a
think it
lot.
might be.
And
It's a lot of
some parts of Grand Prairie, our
yeah,
office is in Tarrant County.
yeah.
Is even though it's Grand Prairie, our office is Tarrant County.
So it's a lot of. Just imagine
Hmm.
one drop off place for
Suppression.
mail-in ballot.
Yep, voter suppression.
That's all it is.
And
That's
then
what.
that one place in Tarrant County is all the way, well, really past downtown. The Tarrant County Elections Office is on Premier, and it's past downtown. So it's not a necessarily convenient place to go. It's not. It really isn't.
Now just imagine this. All the way past downtown,
It's
if
there.
you are a elderly person, sick person, or if you don't have a transportation to get there, and if you're trying to do a mail-in ballot,
Yeah. Then
it's
you're
going
gonna
to be
you may have to
impossible.
mail it in and see and and like you said, when you mail it in, is it gonna get there? With all this buffoonery that's going on, with they took out a lot of the sorting machines, and now he said they broke them apart, so he can't put them back together. They used a lot of parts for something else. So with all of that going on, the thing is, well, you could still put your ballot in the mail, but is it going to get there?
Exactly. So if we have to pay close attention with this election, we also need to go out Take a friend to the poll with you. Somebody who normally wouldn't vote, make sure they are registered to vote. Here
Right.
in Texas, tomorrow is the last day to register. If you're already registered, check your voter registration status. Make sure it's still good to make sure
Make
you're
sure
able to
your
vote.
Yep, and make sure your address is the same because a lot of people move. Make sure your address information is correct, and you just go to whatever county you're in, and just look up voter lookup, and it'll be able to tell you, um, what address they have you under. It'll also be able to give you your ballots. I always have print my ballots out. I go with my ballot to the polls when I go. I actually have my ballot, so it's fast for me because I've already filled them out. And then you can go to vote411.org and you'll find out about each of your candidates. Everybody that you're voting for. We need to get educated about the people. We shouldn't be voting for somebody because they black, because we're seeing now that, hey, that could be a problem. We need to be doing vote411.org. It will show you the candidates that, you can get information, what they're standing on, what they're saying, and you'll be able to make a conscious decision, a good decision on what candidates um, you should be voting for, and pull that ballot. I know everybody doesn't have a printer, but even just look at it, and maybe even write down, because there's a lot of propositions, I think, on this ballot. So, things that you're for or against, just write it down, and you can take that paper with you to the poll, and just take it in with you, and just fill in your information and go from there.
That's the sample ballot that she's talking about, which I mentioned it on the show quite a bit. Before election, print out your sample ballot, do
Hmm.
your homework on each candidate. Now you cannot, I never done it, vote a straight ticket either.
You
So
can't do
you're gonna have to go through there and pick each one. So do your homework, print out a sample ballot for your precinct, and find out who you're voting for.
that.
And
Hmm.
once you go vote, that sample ballot, you could take it into the polling with you. For only thing you got to do is mark the person you want to vote for, and that's it. Now, a lot of the candidates that are coming up, um, and what they're saying is, I'm not a politician. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a businessman. That sounds like a broke record. That's the same thing Trump said.
Yes.
So we have to do our homework, make sure we get in there and vote for the person that's going to be best for me, my family, and my community. Because, and not only that, this we talking about the presidential election, but every election, go out and vote.
Hmm.
Go out and vote, um, and it makes a difference because for your local election, that's where your laws are made at. I've said all along, Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, Ken Paxton, Ted Cruz, they have to go. All four of them have to go. Here it is. I've done a show about Ken Paxton. Now he's up on the FBI investigation for bribery and abuse of power.
But he's an isn't he
He's indicted. They've
Yeah.
been indicted for 5 years for fraud.
And he's a attorney general.
Yes. And it came out yesterday that FBI is investigating him now. So he needs to go. Why is this man still in office?
Because they crooked.
Exactly. So
And they support each other even in their crookedness.
so we need to make sure we voting and send a message not only to the White House, but also to the state house also, regardless of whatever state you're in, especially Kentucky, Minnesota,
Hmm.
all these places where the cops been killing unarmed people. We need to send a message. If
Mhm.
these politicians are changing laws, how Greg Abbott did during when we've had the shutdown, if they're changing the laws to benefit certain people, they're not for you.
Right.
We need to vote them out. I know I'm not going to go too far into that because we're talking about mental health. So,
Right, right, right. Oh Lord. So
um,
that election is my thing too. Like I said, hey, but I've paid attention to that. That's been years, and like I said, I try to work the poll, especially a big election like presidential elections. But I do, the regular elections as well. I just try to. I don't do it every election cycle, but I do try to do it as much as I can because it's important.
exactly.
It's really, really important for us to be involved in the process as well. And a lot of people don't want to give up their time. Some people, I think they're trying to make election day a holiday so that people can, have time to vote. Now, I know growing up in New York, that was a school holiday for us, election day. It was a school. We didn't go to school on election day because the polls, a lot of the schools were used for as election sites. Here, the kids be just going to lunch and they right, we voting and the kids be looking at the kids going to lunch.
And see, I, f- I feel like, well, I guess it's okay to do that, but I don't know. I guess it's fine to have them at the school. I've always seen them at the schools,
Oh
but
yeah.
one thing we got to pay attention to when you have Foot Locker making all their location into a voter registration location
Oh
until the
really?
yes, they did that um, earlier this month. They made all their U.S. location a voter registration location
Mm.
until tomorrow. So, and they targeting younger people to come in to get registered to vote. So it's no excuse for anybody not to get registered. When you see the NBA taking a stand on the unjust killing, you got to pay attention because what's happening when they boycott the games, they sponsors didn't have a choice but to get on board
Right.
because if those games are not going on, they not the chances of them making money is slim. And if you're not supporting this cause, it's going to be a problem. I
Yeah.
appreciate LeBron James and all the players that came out and said, you know what? They talked with the owners. Now all NBA stadiums are going to be voter
I think
location.
a couple of them didn't is not going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Uh,
majority of them are. I know the Maverick, American Airlines is definitely one of them. But I think I heard one or two didn't allow it in their state, their city.
and if you're uh, in the second part of Dallas, Friendship West is a voting location.
Hmm.
You could go there and vote. Go there and vote and make it happen. I don't know if is Cornerstone doing
No,
it.
it's not.
Okay,
It's not a voting site. No, it's not.
well, you could definitely go to Friendship West and vote um, fast and easy. So we don't have a reason for not voting. And I tell people all the time on the show, you know, with what's going on, yes, we need a vote. And when you get that notice about jury duty, take advantage of it. Go to jury duty. Don't
Hmm.
try to get out of it.
Yep.
And because that's important too, because the thing is, you may end up sitting on a case how some of these officers or innocent people going to jail. But if you took the time and sat on that jury, it makes a difference.
Hmm.
Because if you have a voice, now you're in a position you can let your voice be heard. If the evidence are not adding up, you don't need to send that innocent person to jail. Or if this cop or anyone killing someone, you have the opportunity saying, you know what, they need to go to jail.
Right.
So I go to every jury duty. I've sat there all day long and probably don't get picked. But the only thing I will get picked for is eviction.
Civil, so some kind of civil case. I get,
Exactly.
I've gotten chosen for civil, and but I don't get called like I used to. Mm-mm.
Oh, I get called every year.
No,
Every matter of
no.
fact, uh, during the when the pandemic first started, I was getting ready to go to jury duty, and they had me to call in, and they said, "Your service not needed."
Okay,
So,
okay.
but I go every year. As
Oh,
soon as
which,
I register to vote, I vote. So I go every time I get called. I don't care what's going on. I'm going. So I'm doing my duty and serving.
amen, amen.
Um, but take this election very serious. You can make a difference because here it is. Trump have appointed, I think it was 189 judges since he been in office, and none of them look like me.
Mm-mm.
See, we can
And
prevent
they're still appointing.
exactly. That's why he's trying to rush the Supreme Court
Mm-hmm.
uh, here and through for the simple fact it would change a lot of things. It will change the fact he want to get rid of Obamacare. He don't have anything in place, which I said think last week on the show. He talking about he want to get rid of Obamacare, but he don't have a plan in place. Then the next thing you know, oh, I do have a plan in place. What's the plan? Chris Wallace asked him that during the debate. He couldn't explain it because he
Mm-mm.
don't. Um, Also for women rights, if Amy Barrett is chosen, she already said uh, she gonna vote against it.
Roe
But
versus
Roe
Wade.
versus Wade is out of there. Want to
Yep.
take your women? Want to take women rights? Just like now, we hearing all these cases coming up of sexual assaults coming up here in Dallas, um, and it's like nope. It's getting a lot of speed on it. I talked about it. I think it was last week or the week before, but we need to pay attention to that because no one should be violated,
Right.
and we have to take a stand on it. Um, so hold on. So it's definitely we need to make sure um, we definitely take a stand, get out and vote. I don't care who you vote for, just let your voice be heard. Let it be heard, make a difference, and it judges, uh, county sheriffs, the DA, the mayor, city council. They all are elected officials. We could change how our community is ran if we get these people out that don't care anything about what's going on in our community. So we could change that. In order to change it is by getting out and vote
Right.
for the
Right.
local election as well as for the presidential election. A lot of people think the laws are made by the president. Nope. It started local.
Right. A lot of decisions are made locally.
So, and then back on mental health, just last week, I don't know if you heard about the case in Mississippi. I believe it was Jackson, Mississippi, where a father and son was arrested for chasing down a black teen and shooting at him on an ATV.
I did hear about that, and it's unfortunate. I'm glad they got arrested. That's the climate now. People are they're thinking they're seeing other people commit certain crimes, and it's emboldening them. It's making them bolder and bolder and bolder. You and I talked about in Denton yesterday, Denton, Texas, at a Buc-ee's, that somebody was playing YG's music, which is F Donald Trump, and a person told him to walked up to him and told him to cut it off, and evidently the man didn't want to cut it off, and he punched him, and he was arrested today. They said this man didn't live in Denton County, but they don't. I mean, but that's how their heart is, that they, like you said, that learned, we talked about earlier, that learned behavior, that if you don't agree with me, I'm ready to kill you. I'm ready to fight you. I'm ready to do harm to you and your family. There's been people with signs up that, their homes have been, graffiti on it, or, something done to their signs, and it doesn't make any sense. You can't even voice your opinion without people that are not in agreement with you doing something horrific, and that's hard for a family to have to go through that, having graffiti or trying to shoot at them. It's just it's insanity. Now, if people of color done that, we would be under the jail. We would be. And then that's another mental aspect that you have to think of, that the rules are different. There's double standards. The standards are not the same for everybody. And that's hard.
Exactly. That's why Risky and I did a show on black justice versus white justice, because it's two different laws. And we identified certain cases that it was the same charge, different outcome.
Yeah.
And it always ends with the black person getting more time. That's kind of like earlier this year, a young black man, I think it was in Florida. And I need to do a follow up on that to see if they decided what they was going to do, because this young man asked the judge, "Your Honor, before you trial me, can you trial me as a white man?" Because he already knew he was, as a black man, it was a done deal.
Yeah, but that judge saw color already. He was, a lot of them are already biased. I'm not saying all, but a lot of them are already, biased. If they hear something horrific about the same charge, could be, and history is shown. Remember the cocaine versus crack. How people that had crack, which is a derivative of cocaine, they got sentenced 15 years. Cocaine got sentenced 2 years, or 20, so it's always been a disparity in our legal system. And it does something to you mentally.
Yeah.
It really works on your mental health. It does. There's no way that it can't work on your mental health. You get tired, you get you want to retaliate, but that even protecting your home, that you're going to be judged by a different standard. You are, and you're doing the exact same thing that someone else is doing, but you're going to be judged by a different standard.
Exactly. So it's it's so many. If you just pay attention to the news, like the body count where the two troopers were shot up in Oklahoma last month came out, where this guy, he shot at these two troopers, stood over one and shot and killed him, and he was taken to jail. Yeah, he had a couple of scratches and bruises, but do you think it would have been the same outcome if it was a black man? I don't think it would have been.
Mm-mm.
So We seen in California last month a where a black man riding a bike, and I'm still trying to figure out what was the bike violation where they end up shooting and kill this black man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's so many different cases that are happening that are going on. A lot of people don't want to talk about these things, and this is where we need to have an open conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
Call out wrong,
But
support them.
but something has to change because we do have a lot of conversations. But something has to change, and I think it comes when we're who we're voting for is getting certain people out of the office, is getting starting to get people's attention, that we're not playing anymore, but we won't do it. Like I said, people went in 3,000 by 3,400, 3,400 people in a place that has 4,000 residents. And so, there's more than 3,400 people that's eligible to vote. Now, out of that 400,000, everybody can't vote, no. But there's a significant amount that nobody should win a race by 30, because they had 3,400 total votes.
Mm.
That's
And
it's ridiculous.
and that's and when she say we know everybody cannot vote, that's because some people may have a felon and their voting rights been taken. But if you go to vote.org, if at most states, if you're not still on papers, if you're
Right.
not still paying dues, you can get your voting rights back.
Yes.
And it only take about 30 seconds to find out if you get your voting rights back,
Yes.
depends on the state you're in. It will tell you right then and there if you can vote, register to vote. And once you're able to register to vote, go out and vote. Get let
Curtis, I just recently heard on KHBN a man called about within the last 2 or 3 weeks. He had been cleared of his felony. He just didn't know he could vote. He just had it all messed up, what his thoughts was. And I think people had tried to tell him that, but he just thought he couldn't vote. And he said he was going to be voting in this election. He had no idea. And I think somebody at the barbershop told him,
mm,
just with the information that you're saying to look it up, and he wound up being eligible.
that's
And
good.
so now he's spreading the word to people that he know, that has had a record or felony, that are not on paper. That he said he's starting to really tell people, because he said he really didn't know, and he's been clear for years.
Mm.
He didn't think he could vote.
And and here in Dallas, I can understand the reason why he may not have known, because here it is, the sister out of Fort Worth that didn't know she could or couldn't, and she voted, and now they're trying to put her in jail behind it.
Right.
But here it is, we have I'm trying not to go there. Have our leader telling people in South Carolina, North Carolina to vote twice, and I hope no one is that crazy to try to vote twice for the simple fact you're going to go to jail.
You're going to jail. It's a felony.
And with Trump, kind of like when he ran for the election last time, he was telling people, "Oh yeah, uh, go ahead and do this, do that. I'll get you out of jail." And then kind of find out he didn't do what he said he was going to do, and so people try to sue him, but you can't sue the president. And so you got to look at all of that,
Yeah.
and I look, be smart about it. Don't take what somebody tell you. Put it like this: don't take everything I'm telling you. Do your research on it,
Right. Right. That's right.
and if I'm wrong, definitely let me know, and I'll
Hmm.
correct it.
Right.
I
That's
I have
right.
no problem with saying I'm wrong about
That's
this,
right.
wrong about that.
That's right. And you have to, like you said, you have to dig a little deeper. You don't have to, dig real deep. Just dig a little. Crack the surface. You know,
Exactly.
crack the surface to find out about these candidates, instead of just because they're Democrat, or Republican, just voting for them. Find out about what these candidates stand for. find out of what these propositions are about. Find out, what it is and how it's going to impact you. And sometimes it just really doesn't take that long. You know, it really doesn't. But
And don't do like what a lot of us do. Call somebody and say, "Who should I vote for?" Well, first of all, they may not be in the same uh, district as you. You need to do your own research.
yeah.
Do your own research and find out for yourself. I had a discussion with the same young lady that came on the show. She was talking about vote independent. Here it is, a month and a half before the election, telling me I should vote independent. I'm like, who is this person? I never heard of him. And if we're trying to vote for somebody independent, that's a vote for Trump, especially if
In the
it's somebody.
in the presidential election, it is. Or
Yes,
was she talking about the presidential?
yes.
Oh my gosh, no.
And I'm like, first of all, if I was to talk with the person, I would say, hey, don't don't run this time. But after this election, start putting your name out there. For 4 years from now, people would know who you are. Don't wait until 2 months beforehand and try to get in on the election. No, people people don't know anything about you. Only ones going to vote for you are your friends and family.
Well, a lot of people wrote in our last presidential election wrote in candidates, and that
Yeah,
was a factor. A lot of people wrote in candidates that was not on the ballot. They're not going to win, and so it's vote smart. Be smart about the decisions you make, and be passionate. When to promote your independent candidate next time. You make sure that person gets the opportunity, but you just vote for them. I'm with you. You're voting for Trump.
and that's kind of like Kanye. Kanye came out and said he's only getting an election to take votes from Biden. And here it is, a couple of states that put him on the ballot. Uh, his home state, Illinois, kind of find out a lot of those signatures was for it. So
Oh, really? Okay.
now he's possible. That's why we haven't heard from him much, because now he's possibly facing jail
Oh,
time.
really? Okay, I didn't hear that.
So that came out probably a month or two ago.
Okay.
So he's been very quiet because he don't know if he's going to face time, because those signatures supposed to have been verified, and kind of find out a lot of them was fake.
Hmm.
And I said when he first talked about running, Kanye, sit down. That's
Yeah.
not the one to do it in.
Yeah. But he has mental. That's the mental health problems. He has mental illness, and people tease, but it's really not a joking matter
No,
because
it's not.
his behavior is that of somebody who has bipolar. And just trying when they're manic, if they're not taking their medication, and most time when they're manic, is their brain is telling them you don't need this medication. They're trying to do something to you. They're trying to suppress you. They're trying to, so your mind is talking to you when you're not taking that medication. It's so many people that we know that are bipolar, but we would never know because they are on a steady regimen of taking that medication. So we would never know that they're bipolar. But if you're bipolar, schizophrenic, medication is a chemical imbalance in your body. And so, in order for you to be stable, those chemicals have to be those transmitters have to be connecting. It has to be the right chemical balance in your body, and if it's not, you're gonna be manic. You're gonna have the manic depression.
Mm.
You're gonna constantly for bipolar. You're gonna have it, and so many people are so ashamed of being mental mentally ill that instead of doing something about it, they don't. And so many people, family, they don't want to do this. They're not rational. Even with people with Alzheimer's, they always the family members go, they won't do this, they this and that. I know somebody who's afraid of his wife because she's like making all kind of different demands, and I'm like, it's the mental illness, and you can't allow her to take control, and people don't realize that they're not in their a rational state of mind. They're not.
Exactly. And you need someone who's going to be honest with you around you all the time. I do not want someone in my circle to agree with everything I say and do.
Right, right.
Because if I'm wrong, I want you to say, hey, man, you're wrong about that.
Hmm.
Okay, let me change it then. Let me
Yeah.
change it. Um, but with Kanye, I've said before, Kanye, if you need a good counselor, I can hook you up. She's right here. Her information is on the screen. You can actually have your people to reach out to her,
Hmm.
and she can advise you the right way.
Hmm.
Um,
Like I said, he's been quiet, so I'm thinking maybe somebody got him on his meds. That he's more balanced now because he has been very quiet. I haven't heard anything. And you're saying it's because of the signatures, but he may. I know. They said. Is her name Chris? Chris? Is it Chris?
Chris Jenner, Kim.
Uh-huh. Kim's mother was saying that they were trying to find help for him. Trying to get some type of help. So I'm thinking, when you're balanced, you function.
Yes.
Yeah, you function. So when he's quiet like that, always think he's balanced. He's taking his medication, but after a while, they think their medication. It was a friend of mine, honestly and truly. Me and another friend really thought that her husband. This was probably 20 something years ago. We really thought that her husband was trying. She was telling us her husband was trying to kill her. That she had found blonde hair in a brush. She was saying also, me and my friend is like, oh my God. So we're doing all kind of things to try to help her. And then we didn't know that she was bipolar. I
Mm.
mean, didn't know because when she was taking the meds, she was fine. She wasn't talking like that. But she had built us up. We were like ready to go to police, really to help her out, helping her with this cause. And then she stopped taking her medication, and it showed that she became manic, and we talked to her husband, and that's what it was. She had put all this stuff in her head and convinced us like she was talking regular and
Mm.
saying all of that, and it turned out it was false, and she wasn't taking her medication.
And I know we said it on past shows. Sometime when people, when they get older and start having mental illness, it's from something that happened to them as a child that they've been holding on to. Now, we know some people may,
Sometimes it's genetics.
yes. And
Yeah, it's genetics. Yeah.
so even if you have dealt with some issues in the past that you never addressed, what if it was you was assaulted, um, uh, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it may be, um, your actions today could be stemming from that um, as a child. So definitely get some help. Get some help. I would recommend Miss Kincaid, but like she said, if you don't want to come to her, she could refer you to someone.
Mhm. Mhm.
We just want you to get some help, and that's it. Um, uh,
90% of 90, I say 95+% of my clients, the adult clients that come in, when we start really doing the real work, it's something that stems from their childhood.
yes,
It is something that stems from their childhood that has impacted them to the point where it still is affecting their adulthood. And so that, I mean, it's in the 95 plus percentile. That's how high it is. How and parents that or couples that come to me, that have children, I emphasize the importance of them maintaining a certain relationship in order for that child to have a healthy adulthood. And a lot of adults don't believe it, but your kids model 70 to 75% of the time whatever childhood we came out of, we model it. The 25 to 30% that don't model it, they realize something was wrong or something needed to be corrected, and they went and did the work in order to get corrected. But majority of the time, we model where we came from.
Exactly. T. Cal says, so true. My father suffered from mental illness, and once he think
Yeah. Oh
he's
yeah.
okay, he stopped taking his medication. They just don't understand how they are without their medication.
Yeah.
And
The
that is
majority
so
of the
true.
homeless on the street is mentally ill.
Yes. Eh,
They're not choosing to be on the street like that. They are mentally ill, and they don't want to have boundaries, and their mind is like I said, the neurotransmitters are not connecting. It's not, and a majority of the people that's on the street is mental illness.
And don't think it's always drugs when you see someone homeless,
No.
because I,
Mm-mm.
I learned myself when I was serving um, in that ministry.
Mm-mm.
I learned that a lot of people wasn't homeless. There were school teachers. There was a doctor that wrote a book, um, and he was walking around with a,
Mm-hmm.
a large check, walking around with this check, and he was surprised he got this check and basically lost his mind. Um, so that triggers something in his mind like this cannot be real. So
And wasn't there a former a Maverick player?
exactly, they just recently in the
Mm-hmm.
news. And shout out to Mark Cuban
Yeah.
for stepping up and helping him. I
I think
forgot.
he had bipolar, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken. I think he had bipolar and wasn't taking his meds.
and he's getting help now.
Yeah, yeah.
So instead of laughing at someone that is going through this, take the time out and talk with them. Find
Mhm.
out what's going on, um, and try to offer help. So um, laughing at people is just it's not a good thing, because you never know what somebody is going through. We have a lot of vets on the
Oh
streets,
yeah. Oh yeah.
um, which I feel like our vets should be taken care of.
They should be. And
They
vet suicide rates are off the chain.
yes, and
Veteran suicidal rates, especially males, are high. And this year, a lot of people have committed suicide. 2020, there's
yes,
been a lot of people who have committed suicide in 2020.
and then
Thus far, we're not even finished with 2020 yet.
and that's separate from what we talked about on past shows about these soldiers in Fort Hood uh, that been killed, murdered, then found later, and that's separate from there. We have a lot of vets that is right here in Dallas,
Oh,
or that is going around, that is on the street,
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
are on the street because they take them through the loops to even try to provide service for them to get an appointment. At one point, it was taking what 45 to 90 days for them to get one appointment.
Right, right,
That's a
right,
long time.
right.
T. Cal said, "You never know what people are going through if people just take the time to listen and see someone else's view." Exactly.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, and most of the time, we are. It's easy to label somebody crazy, putting quotation marks, and not realizing that they are real. They really have a mental issue that they need help. They need guidance. But I must tell you that it's very hard when someone is not in their right state of mind. It's very, very hard to convince them that they actually need help. It really is. And like I said, I worked at Pine Street in Fort Worth, and I saw not everybody was homeless, but there were people that because you voluntarily came. They would come, but they would not want to take that medication. They would take the medication to get all the detox, things like that, but they did not want to take psychotic medications that help them become stable. They just didn't.
Exactly. Now, also, I know we talked about it on past shows. Everyone that is dealing with mental health doesn't mean you have to take medication. Sometimes you just
No.
need guidance of how to deal with your
Oh yeah.
issues that are going on at that time.
Oh yeah. Majority of people don't have to take medication. And then I always, for my clients, I always try to tell them to do something herbal first. There's many supplements, herbal supplements that you can use. I use oils. I use essential oils that I put on, and they're natural. But sometimes those don't work, and if they don't work, then you do go to the prescription. But many times, like I said, talk therapy, just a matter of just talking. Sometimes just journaling. Just writing out your thoughts on a piece of paper. It helps you purge. Things out of your system. You could try different things, but not just hold it in, and thinking that there's going to be some type of solution by you just holding those thoughts in. There's not going to, it's going to come out, and it's going to most time come out in a way that is negatively affecting you. It really is. And so many people hold it in, hold it in. I remember my 20s when I was able to tell somebody really, I was holding something in. And then when I told them how light I felt, I was like, I ain't doing this. I'm going to talk to people. If something's bothering me, and that's way before a counseling degree, way before anything. When I felt that lightness after just talking to somebody, just saying, hey, I didn't like that. Don't talk to me like that. And when I felt the lightness, I was like, you know what? I'm not holding anything in. I'm going to be able to talk to people and get it off my chest. I don't want all of that stuff because it piles up and it piles up and it gets infected.
Yes, it does. And TCal said it always come out one way or another.
A lot of these people that are really super angry, they're angry from, and they don't even realize it's from their child. It's something that's probably happened in their childhood, or somebody did something to them, and that person is long gone, but you still carry that over all, for sometime the rest of your life, and it's like, it's not a matter of get over it. No, I don't believe saying that. I believe that you need help, and I got to use some tools or something for me to be able to not allow that to be a heavy weight on my back, or to have to continuously carry that. That's a heavy burden to carry. Things from your past or things that your family has done. A lot of times people don't want you to see that their family is dysfunctional. All of our families have a degree of dysfunction. Some are higher than others. Some are low, some are high, but it's amazing to me that, people just want to keep things, it's a secret, but we've been trained to do that. Nothing goes out, people saying that whatever you hear in this house, nothing goes out. You hear those kind of cliches, and then you grow up with that. Those are embedded in your children. When you say that in front of them, that stays with them. And then when they become adults, they don't want to tell anybody about what's going on, what's happening. And so what do they do? A lot of times is suicide because they feel like there's no other solution. They don't realize that chemical imbalance can be repaired. They think there's no other solution. And so and so they kill themselves, or, a lot of people, they commit homicide. I did a lot of work with victims of sexual assault, but also I did work with perpetrators as well, those who committed those crimes. And if their mindset was just different, and when we were able, it was an 18-week course. When we were able to show them something different, most of those perpetrators changed.
Mm.
I mean, a high percentile of them really changed because they learned something different. They learned that doing that to a woman or man, because it's both ways, that sexually assaulting somebody is a crime. You know, or if this person hit me, oh, she hit me, and it's like, but you got to take ownership. Not saying that she hit you was right, but you got to take the ownership of you hitting as well. And most people want to look at the other person. What does God say? Before you look in the speck in somebody else's eye, look in the plank in yours. We don't want to take ownership of our stuff. We always want to blame the other person. Oh, they did this, but what did you do?
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
want to take. They don't want to take ownership of it.
T Cal said yes. It turns into anger and bitterness.
Oh yeah,
Um, she
and
al- they also said
hurt people. Yet
exactly.
it
And
does hurt people. Hurt people. Bullies. Something is going on, and I've been getting a lot of adolescents. I usually do 14 and up, and that bullying. Those kind of things are very impactful. It's not a matter of go fight them. No, it goes deep. It mentally impairs them, that being bullied. But guess what? I always try to show them a bully is insecure.
yes,
A bully, something most of the time has been being done to them, so they're lashing out at you because they can't defend themselves against whoever's doing something to them. So, but people think that bullies are strong and power. People that commit assault, domestic violence, that person is insecure. They need that power and control because they're insecure. President Trump is insecure. That's why he has to be so loud and bold. Because if you're not insecure, you don't have to do all of that. You don't.
exactly. And
Mhm.
if you don't lie, you don't have to try to remember what you said before. You will speak the truth and stand by it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he's not to that point yet. But
Mhm.
please, Trump, I know your camp is watching. Reach out. Reach out. In case you missed it, hit me on Twitter. I
I know
send you
that's
her
right. I
information.
know that's right. Say, hey, something.
I, I,
Something has to change. But to me, this is exposure too, to see, wow, what America is really about. A lot of people, what it is. It is what it is, and we've known it. A lot of stuff, but it's just now just out in the open.
yes, and people not hiding it. So
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
it's amazing. But Miss Kincaid, I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Curtis,
I
so much for
appreciate you.
inviting me. I appreciate you inviting me. I
And
really do. I enjoy it every time.
well,
And
I
thank you
need
for
it.
my shirt.
Oh yeah, uh, she wearing the official Speak On It with Who You With Kurt Dog shirt.
Thank you so
Uh,
much for my shirt.
we actually working on some more designs, so we're gonna have some new shirts coming out soon. And
Okay. I'm proud of you because, like I said, your countdown and all that other stuff. I'm like, okay, Curtis, okay. I see you moving up. I see you going on. I'm really proud of you. You just keep up the great work.
I
Because
appreciate it.
we need people out here, speaking the truth. And educating people. You
Yes.
know, we need to be educated.
And I appreciate Sean Martin for doing that song for me. I
Yeah.
had told my wife, I said, babe, I want to come up with a theme song. And we just shared it. Then one day, Sean said, man, I got something for you. And we had to go by his house for something, drop something off. And his wife said, Sean got something for you. Just stay in here. You'll hear it. And he played it. I was like, what? So I was like, hey, I was happy. I'm like, cool. So, but
Uh-huh.
I appreciate Sean Martin for doing it.
I know that's right.
Um,
It's good. I liked it. Yeah.
that's the type of friends you.
I just smiled when I heard it. I was like, and then the countdown, I was like, okay,
Hey,
wow.
we trying to grow a little bit. And then on top of that, a lot more people been making comments about the song. So
Okay, very
um,
good.
I appreciate Sean and what he do. That's a great friend
Now,
because
is he a songwriter?
yes,
Okay,
yes, he actually have a couple of jazz CDs out,
okay,
Focus and oh Lord, you're gonna forgive me on the first one. But I was on I was on his first one. I'm not even
Okay, okay.
bragging, but big old party. But Seven Summers, that's the first album, and
Seven
then
Summers.
Focus was the second one, and he's coming up working on the third album that's coming out
Okay,
soon. And he said he'll come back on the show when it come out. So you're looking forward to that.
very
But
nice.
he does a lot of work in the music industry. Not only his own work, but he plays with a Snarky Puppy, and also uh, write and produce and play for Kirk.
Okay,
So he
okay.
does a lot of good work. If you've seen um, "Lift Every Voice," Kurt did on Juneteenth, that was him playing the grand.
Okay,
So on that video, but
okay. He was
Sean
playing
Mark,
a what?
the grand piano.
Okay, oh, okay,
Yeah, that was him. So
okay.
um, I appreciate it, and I still smile every time I think about this song because I didn't ask him for it. He just
Amen.
presented it to me. So I'm like,
Amen.
man, I
Say, look at
appreciate it.
God. Look at
Exactly. Having good
God.
friends like that.
Yes,
But uh,
beautiful.
I won't let it be that long before you come back. Um, there was a reason why I waited a while. I don't know if
Okay,
Miss Simmons told you or not, but I'll tell you after we get off air.
okay,
But
okay.
I
Uh-huh.
waited to. I'll explain it to you.
Okay,
But
okay.
it won't be that long. I
All
would
right.
love to have you on the show as much as you can come on, regardless of the day, the
Okay.
time. I can make it work to work around your schedule. I know how busy you are.
Praise the Lord. To God be the
Exactly.
glory.
Amen.
To
Because
God be the glory. People are recognizing they need some some guidance.
exactly, and
Mhm.
by you being a small business owner, you got to get it in while you can.
I gotta get it in. I gotta
So
get it in. Yeah.
I
But
def
hey, it's gonna be bigger and better things. Like I said, I got some things stirring up as well. Expanding and just doing some other things that God has placed on my heart a long time ago. Just trying to because domestic violence is something that's very, very important to me. God has just always had me have just a really, really compassion for victims and also perpetrators of domestic violence because I know, there's something going on with them as well. So I really want to do something in that realm.
well, we definitely need to have you come back for we could talk about that.
Oh yeah.
We also need to hit on uh, another mental illness that a lot of people don't like to talk about is sexuality. Um, when you just say, for instance, if you was married to someone the love of your life, then you find out they was attracted to the same sex as them,
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
can mess with you
Oh
mentally.
yeah. Mhm.
So
Oh
we
yeah.
we
Oh my
def-
God. Yeah. Yeah.
definitely want to hit on that, and
I did a paper on midlife lesbianism.
uh
Yeah. There's a lot of I mean, got an A too.
oh,
Got an A on the paper. I did a lot of research, and it's more prevalent than we think that a lot of women, um, in their 30s and 40s, um, decide that they don't want to be married anymore, and they just always felt a void, there, and they feel, as though, you know,
gotta
being
go the other way.
yeah, being with another woman, and they said, being they were fulfilled once they did get with someone of the same sex. Hmm. So
And
it is, it is prominent, and we should talk about it because a lot of people stand back, with it, and some people shy. I'm a Christian, and a lot of people shy away from, counseling those who are homosexuals or gay, and I don't. I'm equal opportunity, I just believe that I can, God, whoever God sends me, and if He's sending me to help that person, I'm gonna help them.
Exactly, with no judgment,
No,
because
no judgment.
the
Mm-mm.
thing is with this platform and with counseling, the counselor cannot judge you
Right,
on whatever y'all discuss. They
right.
are just like HIPAA. They have to go by the rules too.
But then you
So
shouldn't counsel. We're taught to know our biases. And if you have a bias against something, you shouldn't. If that person comes to you as a client, you should immediately tell that person you are not a fit. We're supposed to identify our biases and not treat that person. So it's my responsibility, for whatever that if it's something that I'm not comfortable with, if I don't believe in it, or I'm not a expert, or be able to help you along the way, I am supposed to tell you I can't see you, that I'm not a good fit for you. I'm not supposed to accept you and let you sit there, and I know I'm against every single thing you're talking about. No, I'm not.
that's a good thing.
Mm-mm.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. We're gonna have to get
Okay.
together, and
And thank you again for inviting me. I appreciate
no
it.
problem. Any
Don't take it
show,
for granted.
any day, any
Okay.
day that you
Okay.
want to come in, I don't care if you call me the same day. We'll
Okay.
make it happen.
See, I want to
I,
talk about this, Curtis. I got something to talk
hey,
about.
we could do it, and
And definitely with sexual, I mean, domestic violence. I really would
yes,
love to come and talk about that. There are so many components to, domestic violence and the effects of it in individuals' lives, and like I said, on the victim as well as the perpetrators
yes.
side.
Because
Hmm.
matter of fact, it was an incident happened a couple of days ago here in the Metroplex where it was either Arlington or Fort Worth, where a guy got into it with his girlfriend, shot her and her daughter, and then turned the gun on himself. Him and the girlfriend died. The daughter was able to make it to a neighbor house to call for
Okay.
help. So that's domestic violence, and it's a mental illness because somebody feel like whatever the argument was, nobody had to lose their life.
No. And domestic happens like every 5 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, it's constant. And honestly and truly, like today, the Cowboys lost.
Mm,
In the statistics is shown in this area when the Cowboys lose, domestic violence go up
mm. Yeah,
because
that's
of the
not good.
Cowboy game. Yeah.
That's not good.
Hmm.
So we definitely need a hit on that. We would talk offline and come up with some dates.
Yeah.
I like I said, whenever you ready,
Okay.
you have
Sounds
an
good.
open door.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
and also, oh man, guess my mind kind of going going to um, but definitely you always have open door whenever you're ready to share your vision for what God had for you.
Hmm.
This is a platform you can come on and any way we can help, we will help.
Okay.
So uh,
Sounds good.
you always have an open door.
Thank
So
you.
y'all have been listening to the great Miss Kincaid. She came on, spent well over 2 hours.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I love it every time she come on.
Thank you so much. I
Um,
appreciate it.
so we're gonna be mindful of our time. Um, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you for inviting me.
I still will have a 8 o'clock show tonight for the ones
Okay.
wondering. We will be talking at 8 o'clock, and I have to get it set up. But we really appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you have any
Thank you.
questions, Miss Kincaid information is on the screen. You could give her a call 214-668-7051. She's a licensed counselor. If you have questions, if you don't want to reach out to her, and if you want to ask the question through me, you can send me a text, send me a message, however you want to do it. I'll make sure she get it and she will respond. So
Okay.
Until next time, Miss Kincaid, I really
See ya
appreciate
later.
it.
God bless.
Uh, and I will see y'all back at 8 o'clock. Um, I'll see you back at 8. Um, so I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Love each and every one of you. Until then, peace.
Bye bye.